Welcome everybody and thank you for joining me. With the World Cup kicking up pace very close to the start of the tournament, we're going to be previewing team by team how things are looking ahead of the big show. That's right, it's World Cup preview time with Ducks, and we start with the host nation, Qatar, from this delicious looking Group A. You can catch my other group previews and analysis on the channel. And if you're feeling ever so kind, why don't you give us a like and a subscribe? You'd be a World Cup legend. So let's kick it off. Let's look at the host. Qatar are making their first appearance ever in the World Cup, in their own backyard no less. Of course, with high levels of scrutiny over the tournament that was awarded in 2010, they've been under a lot of pressure to deliver a fantastic show. With the World Cup having to be moved from the summer to winter months due to the high temperatures, the stadiums have also had to consider this in the development and their particulars in their architecture. Each stadium will employ cooling features, capable of reducing temperatures with the stadium by up to 20 degrees. Following the conclusion of the World Cup, the upper tiers of the stadiums will actually be disassembled and then shared amongst countries with less developed sports infrastructure. Shown here from left to right, we see the Lusail iconic stadium with a capacity of 80,000. It's set to host 6 group games, knockout stage matches, as well as the final. Centrally you can see the Al Janoub Stadium in Al Wakra, which is 20 kilometers east of Doha. The stadium design represents the wind-filled sails of boats, which links to the city's heritage of fishing and diving. This is how they've constructed the architecture. And another of the big stadiums is the Khalifa International Stadium, which in fact will host England's first match against Iran. The host nation, of course, as you can see, are a huge price to win the tournament, up 500 to 1, let alone get out of the group. But a host nation and the energy is such a crucial part to any World Cup. So anything that Qatar can get in those early matches, I think will only boost the morale and the positivity around the tournament. As already established, this is Qatar's first appearance at the big dance. The controversy that surrounds the award I'm going to stay clear of back in 2010, but the country has had over a decade to plan for this tournament. Their football preparation in both the domestic and international ventures have all been to find their best position ready ahead of the 2022 World Cup, with heavy finances, as you can imagine, invested into the sport. Qatar brought home their first ever international trophy in 2019, the AFC Asian Cup, beating Saudi Arabia in the group stages before defeating favourites Japan 3-1 in the finals. This was a step seen as a huge move in the right direction ahead of this World Cup. The man tasked with masterminding the Qatar World Cup from a coaching perspective is this man, Felix Sanchez, who has had 5 years since his appointment to prepare for this country's historic moment. At 46, Sanchez, like Qatar, has been building his coaching development ahead of this huge responsibility. He comes from Barcelona in Spain, where he spent 10 years coaching in the Barcelona youth setup, which is not a bad place to learn, before moving to the Qatar Aspire Academy in 2006. Winning the AFC Under-19s Championship with the Qatar Under-19s set him along his way to take over as the senior man in charge in 2017. With 43 wins in 81 games, he oversaw the AFC Asian Cup victory as well as a semi-final performance in their invitation to the CONCACAF Gold Cup in the summer of 2021. He also looks a little bit like Erik ten Hag, so good for him. Now, Qatar entered the second round qualifying of the World Cup because it's offered as an opportunity to qualify for the 2023 Asian Cup. They of course have secured their berth in the World Cup at this point because they were the hosts. They went on to dominate Group E in the pool of Asian qualifying, with Oman being the only team anywhere close to them. They only dropped 2 points in the entirety of their group's run. The firepower was supplied by Almoez Ali and Akram Afif, who scored 10 goals between the pair of them. Now we'll have a little closer look at Ali a bit later on, as he's somewhat of the crown jewel in this side, and very key to their potential hopes in the World Cup. As we just said, it was almost a clean sweep for Qatar in their group, with only a solitary draw at home to India, otherwise they'd have picked up all the points that were available. Both Afghanistan and Bangladesh took a bashing at home, 6-0 for Afghanistan and 5-0 for Bangladesh, with Oman the only side able to score a goal past Saeed Al-Sheib on their way to top the group. Bigger challenges, of course, face Qatar ahead, and these games were mostly played in 2019 or 2020, with the final 2 against India and Oman in 21. Now, Qatar's preparation this year has been very unorthodox, but they played a number of European sides in unofficial friendlies, including a lot from Serie A. They have some matches coming up in terms of their preparation against international sides, but this is after this video has been released. So we'll see how they get on there, but they seem to have been playing a lot of friendlies to try and get that experience against European type opposition. In the second round of World Cup qualifying, Qatar were playing more like a 4-1-4-1 formation. However, in more recent times, the final game of the qualifiers against Oman and the Gold Cup, as well as friendlies this year, Felix Sanchez has moved to more of a back three. It looks most likely that's how they're going to begin the World Cup, in a 3-3-2-2 formation, as you can see portrayed here. Now, goalkeeper Saeed Al-Sheib has 76 caps before the pre-tournament friendlies that are about to happen, but he faces stiff competition as there's a 23-year-old called Mashal Barsham who has made some strong performances in the recent Arab Cup. Now, Sanchez has used many options at centre-back in recent matches, but I would expect Bassam Al-Rawi and Boualam Kalki or Al-Sad to feature in particular, with Kalki closing on his 100th cap for his country. If you look into the midfield, there's many different variations he can and has played, moving different players into different positions. But I do expect that the front pairing will be Almoriz Ali, and who will either be partnered or supported by Akrim Afif. Now we move on to the key players to watch in the Qatar squad. Now what I'm sharing with you here are Football Manager attributes from their player profiles. The idea is just to give a flavour of how they're rated in the game and put some numbers against them, some skills and some abilities. If you're unfamiliar with Football Manager, effectively from left to right you're going technical, mental, physical in terms of their attributes, and the ones that you see in bold are key to their positional capabilities in their favoured position. So in the case of here of Almoriz Ali, you're looking at a striker, and some of the key attributes would be things like finishing, technique, of course, and anticipation. So looking at Ali as our starter, he's an emphatic striker. He's been Qatar's top scorer at the last 3 tournaments they've competed in, the 2019 Asian Cup, the World Cup qualifying group and the 2021 Gold Cup. With 39 goals in all, he's just 5 shy of the all-time Qatar record, which is currently held by Mansour Muftah with 44. On Football Manager 2022, he possesses the best stats of anybody else in the squad, technically with some very nice attributes for an advanced forward, even if comparing with a lot of European players. Mentally he's okay, with his strongest being determination at 15 out of 20. He's also very flary at 17. Not sure that's a word, but he's very flary. He's got plenty of it, as well as some good pace. He is certainly the main danger man from a Qatar perspective. They will be heavily reliant on him taking any chances that he gets in order for them to have a possibility of qualifying for the knockout stages. Next up on the players to watch is Abdel Karim Hassan. At 28, he's racked up a whopping 122 caps as well as 15 goals for his country. He's one of the only players who have actually appeared in the European leagues, as he had a very short stint back in 2017 in the Belgian Pro Division. This man also owns some phenomenal nicknames known as the Gunner or Flamethrower. I've no idea where the origin of that comes from, but it sounds pretty spicy to me. An influential member of the team, his Football Manager stats here are a little bit lacking in all honesty. It's nothing to write home about. He's a very hard-working, physical defender that lacks technicality in comparison with a lot of other players in the tournament, to be fair. Now on to the captain himself, Hassan Al-Haidas, a man who can play multiple positions. He can be found out on the right wing or attacking or in a central midfield position. He's a Qatari legend for the national team. He's the most capped player in Qatar's international football history. He's now transitioned in, as he's 31, into more of a sort of a deeper defensive role, which will be very helpful, you would imagine, for a lot of these games, expecting Qatar to be on the back foot. Likely going to be required against Netherlands and Senegal in particular. It's where he currently plays for his club Al-Sadd. His technical capabilities do not really carry through in Football Manager though. His leadership is strong and outlined with a rating of 15, as best in the Qatar squad, coupled with his work rate and determination. These are characteristics that Qatar will need to weather the storm of their opponents in Group A. Of course, Qatar will open the show on night 1 against Ecuador as hosts. But funnily enough, this was a decision from FIFA that came very late in August, as originally Qatar were actually scheduled to go on 3rd. It's a strange choice, as historically the host nation kicking off the tournament has always been part of the buzz and the excitement. We all remember Shabalala and that goal for South Africa in 2010, and of course Brazil beating Croatia in the opener of 2014. That opening game against Ecuador will also be seen as the host nation's best chance for points. We'll cover Ecuador in another video, but they're no pushovers at all. But bearing in mind that African champions Senegal and Netherlands, rejuvenated under Louis van Gaal, await Qatar in their final 2 games, things are only going to get tougher for the host nation. Now I'm going to have a little stab at predictions, which is always dangerous, particularly when it comes to the host nation's fortunes. With some advantages of previous nations as hosts, we've seen very unpredictable results. Qatar have been planning for this for a long time, setting their players into the squad and preparations for the tournament. Unfortunately for the hosts, I do feel they have a very difficult group. They could take a draw against Ecuador on opening night, but I think they're really going to struggle against Senegal and Netherlands. I have to go with my logic on this one, and I predict that they're going to be eliminated in the group stages with a 4th place finish. With that, I thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you're interested in more of my upcoming World Cup previews, please subscribe, click the notification on the channel. We'll be coming out and trying to get all 32 done before the beginning of the World Cup, so wish me luck. Check the links here, make sure you subscribe, and for now, I hope to catch you next time.